Here's a quote from Rumi. By the time the intellect has selected the proper camel for a pilgrimage to Mecca, love has already climbed Mount Sinai.
Why is it not?
That feels so true.
Yeah, the intellect's got to be sure and make the right decision. Got to be efficient. So while you're waiting, Etzion, did you find something?
For example, Baba stated, I am the avatar, but tell me, how do you know I am the avatar? So he used to ask such questions, his mandali or his guests. So they just express what they think. The truth is, without a real experience, there's no way of understanding it. And he's telling Baba, saying in the world today there are about 70 persons who claim to be the avatar. It's from 1952 about, both in the East and in the West, and God helps them all. So the question still remains unanswered as to how do you know that I am the avatar? There's no way to know for a human being unless he has experience. His masters declare that he was the avatar. But if we don't have the experience, we cannot tell.
Yeah. Even Erich would say, well, I believe he's the avatar, but he didn't say with 100% conviction.
He didn't give him the experience.
No, Erich was very humble about it. So, what experiences he had with Baba is many, even other mandalis may not have, but he was very humble about it. I mean, he still would say, oh, I don't know if he's God. I mean, I don't know,
Is he that? Go ahead. What's your quote?
Yeah. This is from Meher Baba Sahabas in the Company of God. It is a small book. Okay. So Baba says, the difference between love and intellect is something like that between night and day. They exist in relation to one another, and yet as two different things. Love is real intelligence, capable of realizing truth. Intellect is best suited to know all about duality, which is born of ignorance and is entirely ignorance. When the sun rises, night is transformed into day. Just so when love manifests, not knowing or ignorance is turned into conscious knowing or knowledge. In spite of the difference between a keenly intelligent person and a very unintelligent person, each is equally capable of experiencing love. The quality which determines one's capacity for love is not one's wit or wisdom, but one's readiness to lay down life itself for the beloved, and yet remain alive. One must, so to speak, slough off body, energy, mind, and all else, and become dust under the feet of the beloved. How about that?
Good.
There's a law, right?
Yeah. There's another quote from Rumi where he's, if I can remember it right, the intellect, which is given the highest place in the world, hangs like a common thief from the gallows in front of a saint's hut. So the Sufi's hut. The intellect, which is given the highest importance in the world hangs like a common thief from the gallows outside of a saint's hut. I like the imagery. Mayor Prasad, any quote that you came across?
When we dedicate all our actions to Him, entrusting the response and the results to Him, we then become free from their outcome and bindings, success or failure, acclaim or rejection, and ridicule. They all become His, and we remain as His tools.
Yeah, beautiful. Erich used to say that the best thing is that, to imagine that Baba is the doer. And that is the best way to go. But if you take credit for one thing, your house of cards will fall down. But, not to be discouraged, just go back. It's all Baba doing it. But, you do something that's so embarrassing that you take credit for it, and then the whole thing collapses on you.
I have a quote here from John Meyer in his Love message this morning. The purpose of life is to realize God within ourselves. This can be done whilst attending to our worldly duties. Mayor Baba.
Yeah. Yeah, Darwin and Jean loved the book Practicing the Presence of God, which was this guy that joined a monastery. He came from I think a fairly good family, and they just put him in the kitchen where he, doing the pots and pans. And while in there, he decided he was going to clean and scour those pots and pans for Jesus. And he determined, and he did that. And after a while, the kitchen became more the center of the monastery, and all the authorities, were, they kind of put him there, but actually he stood out because of, so he was doing everything for Jesus. And it created, until he got the presence of Jesus in everything that he did. And that's what Darwin and Jean loved. That was kind of their approach. All the little and big things they did, they were doing for Baba, and they had his presence with them. Beautiful.
Yeah, Brother Lawrence used to just have an ongoing conversation with God.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I don't know if I mentioned this, but there was a friend of mine who was hitchhiking in Myrtle Beach, and this guy picked him up, this old black guy in a pickup truck, and he kind of got in and put his backpack, started to put it in the space between. Back then, they weren't bucket seats. It was just one solid seat, and he went to put his backpack in the space between them, and he said, no, don't put it there. That's where Jesus sits. So he was driving around, and you can imagine Baba, if he came along, Baba would sit in that. I mean, if Baba hadn't dropped his body and Baba was near that man, Baba would go and sit in that seat, right where this guy had made room for him. Beautiful. Ken, who's going to begin singing, but he was from Mystic, Connecticut. And a whole lot of the people that have worked at the center were from Mystic, Connecticut, part of his whole group. He was the one who told them all about Bob, but he was the first one to come to the center and get blown away. And he went back and brainwashed everybody up there. Arthur Kimball was one of them. Dean Norquist, who's still working there. Carrie Bills, Jennifer Tinsman. I mean, quite a few people just from one little dinky town in Connecticut. Pretty amazing.
Not so dinky. I mean, a town named Mystic.
Yeah, I mean, it's inwardly vast, but on the map,
That's right.
very
I went
finite.
there, and they have a nice historic seaport there where it's like recreated like Williamsburg.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mystic is great.
Oh, loving heart, so full with wine, tell me, when did the guest arrive? The candle he lit and placed in the window reflects the face of our beloved. In your cup, compassion lives, though the rest of life may fail. The beloved himself resides in this house, and in his embrace we remain. When the real light appears, this darkness which you think is light shall disappear. When the real light appears, this darkness which we think is light shall disappear. Endure your lot with patience, friend. Hold fast with both hands to this stranger, and goodness remains when all else shall fail, and the pain of parting has ended. For the sun shall rise from deep within to finish the dark night of winter, and the flowers of spring will be born again with the fragrance and bloom of roses. And when the real light appears, this darkness which we think is night shall disappear. When the real light appears, this darkness which we think is light shall disappear. Hold fast our gaze to this holy vision. Love has fashioned it in our hearts. The borrowed delight of a love beyond time becomes our cradle of union. And when the real light appears, this darkness which we think is light shall disappear. When the real light appears, this darkness which we think is light shall disappear.
Beautiful. God. That's the way to start out. Effort&Grace.
Thank you.
Ken, and did you write that, Ken? I think you did.
Yes, I did. It's based on two things, however. One is two ghazals by Hafez, found in the Voice of God, ghazals 84 and 85. And the chorus is based on Meher Baba's own words in the final appendix of Francis Brabazon's book, Stay with God.
Yeah, I remember that. Beautiful, very touching. My God.
Say Baba.
Whew. Let's have a few moments of silence here. Jai Baba. Wow. Ken, that was lovely. My God. Whew. And beautifully, this is being recorded, so you'll get to enjoy it again. And we will too. The next section is on eradicating worry, which is about as difficult and as much resistance as this pandemic, I would say. But there was one quote. There are a couple of quotes on worry that I especially like. One that I committed to memory because which I got from Darwin long ago, and it's been translated in different ways. But this is as I remember it from Darwin. He had a stenographer pad and he wrote this down. Baba's words. Baba says, "Don't worry. Let me do the worrying. I enjoy working things out. There is no need for you and I to worry. If you are going to worry, then I won't worry." Now, the line that is very powerful for me was, "I enjoy working things out." Up to Baba's saying, because up to that point, I thought I was helping Baba out by not bothering troubling him with my worries. And there I come across this line, "Don't worry, let me do the worrying. I enjoy working things out." So that's, and then I have one other quote from Darwin's book. And this is another quote from the East-West Gathering on worry, a little bit on that same theme. This is what Baba said. This was maybe the third day or something of the East-West Gathering. Baba said, Baba then spoke about worry. This is Darwin's book. "If no one is worrying, I have to worry. But my worry is great fun for me. It's a very old habit of mine to worry for the whole creation, to worry continuously for the release of souls from the bondage of life and death. It's great fun." I just don't remember reading that. I mean, Baba said it's great fun. So he really does want our worries, and we're not burdening him with them. I'm going to read that again. Baba then spoke about worry. "If no one is worrying, I have to worry. But my worry is great fun for me. It is a very old habit of mine to worry for the whole creation, to worry continuously for the release of souls from the bondage of life and death. It's great fun." So I thought, so that gives us all the more reason to give everything to Baba and let him worry about things.
We're on page 82 of the book, 49 of the PDF, section called The Value of Knowledge.
The value of knowledge. Making our unconscious programming conscious involves drawing upon the supervening orders of the universe, which are not miracles, but simply a higher set of laws. Operating from these higher laws is not performing magic in the ordinarily understood sense of the term, but it is using our intelligence to comply with the impelling force of the universe, which is completely benevolent and wishes well-being for everyone and everything. Perhaps the greatest value of knowing all this is the revelation of how unerringly we can depend on God, Baba, the universal mind. Our faith can be transformed into conviction. And when you see the truth of this, then you can rest assured that you really can rely on God in every situation. And then you can work from that angle, work toward trusting God more and more, trusting truth to supersede Maya. Then you know that you do not have to struggle with this or that worry, or this or that problem. We should place all our faith and trust in the Master or God. We must know that He can do anything. When we trust in the Master's guidance, He can and does guide us. This is what is meant by surrendering our will for the will of God. This means that we are willing to set aside our choices for the will of God. This does not mean that we ignore the conditions of life. However, we do not worry and we trust God as best we can. When we trust Him completely, we are putting that responsibility on Him. He can take care of all the problems. Resting in first cause is really giving everything to Baba and being free. Jai Baba.
Hi, everyone. Just a short comment, what was coming to me reading this. It's kind of neat. This passage is from the section before worry, but it feels like it's kind of leading into the discussion on worry. But anyways, I remember there was something in, I think it was in Everything and the Nothing, where Baba says, the moment the intensity of your faith in my will reaches its zenith, you say goodbye to worry forever. And that one always stood out to me because it, I just realized that I worry because I don't trust God's will. I don't trust Baba's will. I don't trust that He has this situation, under control. So that's what was coming to me reading this, is that to me it's a faith thing. If I had that perfect faith in His will and in all of this, there wouldn't be a reason to worry about it. But I can tell I still doubt that He's going to come through in this situation, or, if He's going to do this, even though it happens every time. So.
Yeah, no, it's, I think most people are in your situation there, but I just to mention that Darwin, he had a real great faith that Baba was kind of right there, and he didn't kind of have worries about things. Bob was there and going to help him. I never had quite that level of faith, but he, his background was putting a lot of faith in faith, you might say. But he had implicit faith that Bob was going to help, and Bob would come through for sure. You could experience it.
Yeah. And Wendy or Martin.
I got a question for Jeff from last week near the end. Jeff, you said something when you realized something or a few things, then things began to move along at a faster pace with yourself internally. Do you remember what you were talking about?
It might. I don't know if it was the quote that that Anthony. The next part of the quote that he gave. I'll quote that and then see if this rings a bell. But this particular quote, I have it memorized because it was a pivotal for me, where Baba said, this is about 20 years ago when I read this. I had been reading this since the 60s, but I saw it in a whole new way, where Baba says, when the intensity of your faith in my will reaches its height, you say goodbye to worry forever. Then all that you suffered and enjoyed in the past together with what you may experience in the future, will be to you the most loving and spontaneous expression of my will. And nothing will be able to cause you worry again. Well, I realize I don't take everything. At that point, I'm not taking everything as the most loving and spontaneous expression of Baba's will. I mean, I was that far off. I mean, Baba kind of like woke me up, because, you know, there's a lot that I say that's from Baba, but there's a lot of stuff happening to me that I didn't think was the most loving and spontaneous expression of anybody's will, let alone Baba's. So I had to rearrange my whole perspective. I don't know if that's what you,
Yes.
and I did discover that everything, I mean, through hard experience, that it is all love, a loving wisdom, and it's coming from Baba. And Darwin said, if you take everything as coming from Baba, rather than from people, from the world, or from, if you take everything as coming from Baba, your mentality will change, and the world of your emotions will change, because it's a completely different paradigm. So I don't know if that.
Yeah, that's it. Could you give a couple of examples?
Of, well, I mean, someone could do something really nasty to you. You know, you can have, you know, you're walking around in Ontario and someone lays into you. You can take that as that person doing it, independent of Baba, or you can take that as Baba through that person. If you take it as coming from Baba through that person, it's a different experience. And it hits you in a different way. And that moves you toward accepting everything as coming from your beloved to you. But it does mean expanding your definition of what love is. The way I was treated wasn't how my beloved should be treating me. But I had to expand my definition of love to include the good, bad, and ugly that happens. But that's the theory of it. The living of it down here it's a hard work, you know. But I don't know if that clarifies that a little bit.
Yeah, that's great, Jeff.
But it was very helpful. I'm more at peace as a result. Yeah.
Accepting whatever comes from Baba is, I always look at it as that we have a path that we've chosen, and even against the advice of Baba saying, don't do this, don't do that. And then we go that way. So now he's got to extricate us out of it by guiding us. Okay, now you got to go past that sharp stone. Now you got to climb here. Now you got extra effort here. All of this is like, stuff comes to us now because of choices we made in the past. And now Baba's guiding us. He said, well, this is what we're going to do now. So if what I try and do is look at it from that point of view, that my path right now necessitates this, and I've got to hear certain things. And if we can think of it as coming from Baba, it makes it a lot easier. And also the part where Baba says about effacement, that the way of my work is the way of effacement, which is the way of strength, not of weakness, and through it you become mature in my love. So it also like involves that, because now stuff is coming at you and you just have to accept it, because you know that Baba, who you got your hand on, of the Dhamma, he's leading you along, and it's not going to be easy, brother. You know, it's not, but it's the best for you. He would never do anything that wasn't strictly necessary for you. And since you have a lot of lives coming up, he might say, well, Ray, I'm speaking for myself. All right, now, okay, your next life, this is where it is, you know, but next life, then you move on. We're concerned with our life being good right now. So we don't like something that interferes with that. If it's something that life is going to be tough, and then we might, you know, have a demise that we wouldn't want so soon. Well, Baba's looking at the end goal. this is okay. Now you got to go here. So that's my thought on that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Hey, I should say one thing, that taking everything as Baba, coming from Baba, doesn't mean that you just let someone hit you over the head with a 2x4.
Right. Right.
Your defense of yourself is also coming from Baba.
Right.
So anyway, I didn't want to didn't want people to become martyrs,
Right, but it's got to be a sort of dispassionate, interested, and if you do respond back, then you have to think, well, how would Baba respond to this? In his way. It could be forceful. You're not doing that, but firm, like your dad might have been, or your mom might have been. So I try and look at it like that. Sometimes it hardly works, but that's my intention.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yeah.
This whole thing kind of brought to light something for me in the last couple of weeks, because it's kind of like when you go home and you visit your family and you realize you're not nearly as far along as you thought you were, because they push all your buttons. Well, I tried very, very hard to not worry. So I succeed an awful lot, but when I was at work, I've got something next week that comes up every 3 years. We've got to get accredited, and I'm a major part of that, and I always know that it's going to take a lot of work right before it. And I thought, okay, well, this time I'm not going to worry. I'm just not going to worry. It always goes okay. I know what I'm doing. Everything's fine. But I found myself still under so much stress, and I just was like, okay, is this just samskaras? Is this just habit? Is it, am I just, I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there because it was really eye-opening to see how much I seem to not be able to let go and not be stressed.
Yeah. Someone's bound to respond to that. And I know some things from the Mandali but we'll hold that there, and I guess Patty's.
Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, I want to respond a little bit to Anthony and a little bit with Ray. I really believe that the experience and the view of which we are looking through is really involved with faith. I kind of agree with Anthony on this early, and I think we would mature into even understanding what faith is, because in my early years, actually it was in 81, 82, Padre had said, you have no faith, you have no faith. And I was being reprimanded. And I didn't even understand the depths or the acknowledgement in myself of faith. And it's only coming to me now. I looked up in this paragraph before, resting in first cause requires full faith, and faith supersedes the intellect. And that sentence to me stands out real big because I kept trying to think about faith up here through the mind. And over the years, and particularly with this book and the readings that I seem to keep coming back to, is that I'm witnessing a greater faith in everything that happens to me happens for the best cause. And of course, I relate it to Baba being who is doing this. And just recently, I think I shared all this before, and I'm not going to go into the long story of it, but I didn't really want to get the COVID vaccination. And I hadn't been vaccinated since the early 80s for anything. And I kept asking Baba, really, am I supposed to do this? I have this, and what have you. And the answer was always yes. You were going to get this shot. And I'm like, really, I don't want to get this shot. And it was just a constant not trusting. And then finally, I had to supersede to the voice, the faith saying, you've got to get this. And when I went up there, we arrived early. It was a very expedited situation. As I started to reveal the shoulder, the person happened to notice my Baba locket and all of a sudden said to me, who's that on your locket? You know, and so what ensued was Baba telling me, I mean, he went, oh, Mayor Baba, and on and on. And there's a story, a beautiful story, writes on my windshield, don't worry, be happy. The whole thing happened. And I'm like in tears because I knew I didn't have faith that he had me. You know, I knew that. And yet I could feel him there, just so palpable. So when I'm looking at this and seeing the value of knowledge, for me, it's really the knowledge of out of the mind. I mean, it's kind of confusing for me to hear this, but it is the development and the awareness that we have as we allow our seeingness, faith, our understanding of God's divine plan to be unfolding constantly in front of us. And through Effort and Grace and through this community and through, you know, Jamie Newell and Jim Myers today and all of what's going on, it just is so palpable and beautiful song. Ken, oh my God, that was just yummy. That it's all right, it's all perfect. And yes, I do worry. Yes, you know, worry is part of it, but if we can just stop the worry train, stop the mind train, and get into the heart, the soul heart part of ourselves, the more we repeat his name, the more we do all this, the easier it becomes to see the divine play as a play and how we are woven towards ourselves more clearly. I really believe. Jay Baba.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, beautifully said, Patty.
Yeah,
Really.
Jay Baba. Yeah.
Nice. And Pegu.
Sometimes I think like, why am I born in this time period? Why did I have to incarnate during COVID? Because I haven't enjoying it. And now I'm just to the point of, I don't know if I'm accepting or resigned to it, but I'm kind of used to it. So I'm not fighting it. I don't know. What do people think about that?
Yeah, beautiful.
I don't know faith
yeah.
or what, but you know, you develop a kind of routine and a structure and you make the best of it.
Yeah. I think we've all made some great adjustments in favor of Baba. Okay.
This section here is really critical. It's the blessing of Darwin's bringing to us of these rich metaphysics. But in the third, let's see, on page 82, he says that our faith can be transformed into conviction. So to me, that meant act as if I have faith even if I don't, and try to make it a conviction and just keep doing it. And then when you see the truth of this, then you can rest assured that you really can rely on God in every situation. And then you work from that angle, work toward trusting God more and more and trusting truth to supersede Maya. That hit me between the eyes, trusting truth to supersede Maya, because I've read a lot about trusting God to bring grace, Baba's grace to you, which actually supersedes karma grace. So there's a connection for me. So I guess for me, the importance of this was to continue to have conviction, whether you, to keep practicing, I guess. practicing what it's like for you to have faith, and then things will evolve. And the other thing I wanted to say, Jeff, when you were talking about, you run into a bad situation, Bob is, doing it to you or for you or with you, and you don't, not a doormat to be abused. But I often found the other side of the coin was, yes, Baba is working through a situation or another person for your benefit, but I'm beginning over time to see that sometimes it has part two, which is whatever your response is could be Baba working through you for that person's benefit.
Yeah.
For that situation's benefit. There's a circular of an energy that you can tap into. And that's when I feel Baba's presence, when I recognize sharply, real quickly, like, okay, what does he want me to do or say in this situation? It's like bing, and then it goes, I know it's going to benefit the whole situation and that person at the same time because it's right from Baba. So to just have conviction and not, doubt so much that he's always there, and wants for us more than we want for ourselves sometimes, don't you think? I find that.
Yeah.
He wants to give me a whole lot more, and if I flow with it, it happens. So,
no, beautiful. Yep.
hey, Bob.
I agree. Did we come to the end of the hands?
Yes.
Let me respond to Janaki. Well, one thing, I don't know if I said this here or somewhere else. Sri Aurobindo was like a six-plane saint that Baba had. Baba gave him either liberation or realization at the end. But he said about faith. Faith is an intuition, and Baba said intuition is always correct. Faith is an intuition yet to be proven by experience. Faith is an intuition yet to be proven by experience. In other words, you can know that it's good to leave your worries to Baba. You can know that intuitively, but to actually eventually leave your worries to Baba, you know it from experience. Or say you can know that it's good to be generous. You have faith in generosity, that it's a valuable thing to do. And in that faith is contained an intuition, but eventually when you become generous, then you have the experience of it. So you're beyond faith. Once you have the experience, you don't need the faith anymore. I don't know. I don't know if that rings a bell. But I realized when I see Darwin that he had a lot more faith than I did. I could tell. But my way around lack of faith, my way around worry is to be wholehearted about what I'm doing. I'm responding to Janaki. She has this evaluation that's coming up. You can sit there and worry, or you can get wholehearted about preparing yourself for this certification or this evaluation. And you can lose some of your worry in doing something wholehearted. I find wholeheartedness kind of dissolves a lot of worry. Sometimes worry is like you're not doing anything and you're just sitting there on the sidelines, and your mind then takes over and produces all sorts of worry. But if you jump in and do something, that can dissolve a lot of the worry. Anyway, let's go back to Janaki. Did that make any sense to you?
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, that does. It does.
I'll tell you one other thing that I found helpful is Erich. I remember Erich saying that when the train would come and the Mandali would be there with Baba, and the train might stop for 5 minutes. They had to get all this luggage. They had to get Baba on the train. They had to get, and Erich would have such an experience of dread, horrible dread. And because and sometimes they wouldn't get everything on, and someone would have to take a later train, and it caused all sorts of problems. But here he is, he's serving Baba, and he's having all sorts of anxiety and dread each time these things happen. But then it's gone. It's not it's situational, but then it goes. And I kind of felt relieved, like, wow, I don't have to worry so much about worry. If Erich is worrying about things, I shouldn't be so worried about worry. So that
helps immensely.
I did. I felt great relief. Yeah.
Yeah, because I threw myself in, but every time I would check in with myself, I'd realize that my stomach was tight, and I was like, well, why? So I'm glad to hear Erich had the same or something similar.
Yeah. You're in good company.
Thanks.
And Leica.
I posted something in the chat, which I think is a real key for me. It's from that page 62 of In the Everything and the Nothing by Bao Kalturi. And the section is called Will and Worry. And I have to scroll up now.
Yeah. Yes, right there in the chat.
I know, I'm trying to scroll up so I can read it. Oh, never mind, I see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. So it says duality implies separateness. Separateness causes fear, and fear makes worry. The way of oneness is the way to happiness. The way of manyness is the way to worry. Now that's a real key for me when I get into feeling separate, like alone, separate, or shut down, and that I have to depend on my limited self. Then I worry when I forget to lean on Baba. And also, so for me, my antidote to that is to get to oneness with Baba, which I'm always seeking and seek many times in my day, when I'm feeling that, or ways to be closer, ways to feel the oneness, to let go of the things in the way of my feeling that oneness. And then it goes on to say that the way of oneness is the way to happiness. The way of manyness is the way to worry. I am the one who has no second, so I'm eternally happy. You are separate from yourself, so you always worry. And just that word always, the limited self always worries. To take it away from yourself personally, even, it's like we're all in our limited self having an experience of that self is always going to worry. So it's very powerful to know that in disempowering that self that worries, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, beautiful. Great quote. Yeah. Yeah, Baba is the one that's dissolving the worry, but when you turn to him. Yeah, beautiful.
And Alan.
Yeah, so I kind of saw this metaphor as we're talking about the worry and the suffering that's happening right now, especially us being in the Kali Yuga and how intense it is. And I saw this image of Baba kind of sitting in the tomb, and with all this suffering and all this pain that's happening during this time, there's so many of us, and the fact that the door of the tomb is wide open, metaphorically. It's like he's right there. It's so palpable. We're so able to be there with him during this time. And yet there's just so much suffering. And I know that later on, Baba said to Don Stevens that the door of the heart will get more and more closed. It'll be a lot harder to access him. And that's why he gave a lot of the chapters about meditation and connecting and using those methods to get to where right now it's just so abundant. We can really just, like, the door is right there. And so many of us, if we have that grace, we can just be there with him right now. And years later, it's like, it's so interesting, because you think about it, like, if the door of the tomb is closed, and this is like, very much in my mind metaphor, but like, it's so closed, and everything's all nice out here. Well, the majority of things are just like pretty nice out here. It's a nice garden. I think, why do I need to think about God so much? Like, I think I just kind of enjoy the levity or the lightness that's around me. And the focus is not necessarily like, I feel like the suffering really brings people to that point where you're like, God, help me, like, God, help me. Whereas if you're more in that state of a lot of ease, it can be easier to, I don't know, like what Baba said about, like, he who remembers God in his highest moment of happiness is something remembers God best, or something along those lines. But I just found that interesting, that metaphor. And I like saw that the door was like closed in the future, or a lot more closed, and all these people just kind of hanging out outside, and like, it's kind of nice out here, like, I'm good. But like during this time, there's just like, I'm just, all this chaos and suffering is happening, and I see the door open, and I see Baba in there, and I'm like, I am going to you, but this is crazy out here. I need to go to you, Baba. So
Yeah.
I just find that really fascinating, and that trust that, with all that's happening, that these shadows really can't satisfy a lot of the things that, our minds are just spinning in these massive infrastructures of thought and crystallized formations that, like, who we think we are and where we think we're going, and we think we know what we're doing. And yeah, that dropping from the head to the heart, of that just resting in that first cause, it's not so easy, but it's very beautiful to hear that from Darwin. So Jai Baba.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, you can spend only so much time in the garden, and then you start to wonder where the gardener is. Well, let's go on to eradicating our worries. It's interesting because this all leads up to this next chapter on eradicating our worries.
All right, chapter 15, page 84.
Eradicating our worries. Love will control the future, so why worry? Do not think, feel my love. Meher Baba. It might be a little bit disconcerting when we are confronted with all the things we have to let go of, all our self-created limitations and weaknesses. But cheer up. What the mind can do, it can undo. While continuously making progress on the spiritual path, we can also improve our exterior situation a great deal, whatever it is currently, and we can change our whole outlook on life. Because our subconscious is amenable to hypnotic suggestions, it accepts and supplies whatever conditions we are programming through the universal mind, which is capable of responding to all our wishes and wants, our bad ones as well as our good ones. That is why, instead of giving us a long and complicated lecture on programming, Meher Baba gave us, in very, very simple terms, the formula, do your best, then don't worry, be happy in my love. Program that, and all your conditions will change.
I just want to say that what Paula said last week stuck in me and a lot of people when you say, I don't look at things happening to me, but happening for me. It's a beautiful, simplistic, I mean, a simple way of viewing it. Thank you for that, Paula. That was great.
One of the things that I've found in my life is the more that, excuse me, sorry, the validation that he's always there, like no matter what thing you reach out in a time of crisis, and then he's there. You know, you in hindsight sometimes, and sometimes right then and there, and that for me has been the builder of my faith and the not worrying as much. That, like Paula said in her line, as well as don't worry, you know, trust me, I'll be there. And I forget the lady who was talking, her name, I'm sorry, about worrying, you know, should I do this? Should I not do this? And years ago, before I had my children, I was in the hospital. They wanted to do major surgery, and which would have kept me from having children. And I was really scared, and nothing I wanted more was than to have children. So I'm in my room by myself in the night. I was one of those people that I always did what I was told. And I heard so loudly in my head, do not have this surgery. Do not have this surgery. I packed myself up and I left. And my friend worked at the hospital and she called me and she said, where are you? I said, oh, you're not going to believe this, but this voice said to me, do not stay here, get out of Dodge, kind of thing, go home. And I did. All worked out, and I ended up having 3 healthy children. And that was, you know, one of those moments in my life where there's a validation for me when I hear something, trusting my intuition that this is Baba telling me this, or if I'm getting slam dunked for a reason, yes, indeed, that's Baba also teaching me to be stronger. To hear something like that, he's trying to wake me up to something I'm fixed with. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but as we get older, the more times Baba has shown up in our lives when we've really needed him, is that validation. But the flip side for me is then I beat myself up when I didn't trust that. When I didn't. I've had all this validation and then I don't know, maybe I should. So yeah, I'm still learning how to 100% surrender, but I've certainly had a lot of gifts of, yeah, he's always there. And I know that he's there.
Beautiful. Victory.
Yeah, and Rita.
Hi, Jay Baba. I was thinking along the same line as Wendy, and I call it retroactive faith. You know, all the things that happened. To give you a couple examples, you know, bottoming out in the town I lived in and moving to North Carolina, sort of in shame, and after moving here, finding recovery, finding Baba. So many wonderful things happened to me. I had a similar situation that Wendy was talking about. This was back earlier when I lived where I used to live, and I had made a stupid decision that I was going to have an operation so I couldn't have children. And I was at a job and everybody was talking about an astrologer. And I said, oh, I think I'll make an appointment with her. And they said, oh, it takes months to get in. And I called her and she said, come tonight. And I went and she said, you're about to do something that's going to ruin your life. I always felt like that was Baba helping for my future. So many things having to leave a job. And then the next job I went to was working with Walter Overkarsh, who told me about Baba. So many things. And you know, I look back and I think, you know, the things that I thought were bad at the time all turned out to be a gift to me. And also this part about love will control the future. One of my tools for not worrying is the part in the Master's Prayer, all knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future. And I say that to myself all the time because I believe, you know, that Baba knows the future. So he's got the future and I don't have to worry about it. Jai Baba.
Yeah. Beautiful. Great affirmations. I like that line. Love will control the future. What a great line. I mean, if we had faith in that, but even Baba saying it, love will control the future. It'll take care of it. Yeah. Not karma or some untoward thing. Yeah.
Hey, Jai Baba. You know, I'm just trying to expand a little bit on do your best, then don't worry, be happy in my love. You know, I always get this doubt, have I done my best? So, you know, I found a quote where Baba sort of explains what is doing your best means. So I thought I'll just share this with everybody. So Baba says here, neither praise nor blame should distract you from the path of your duty. Leave aside all other considerations. If your conscience tells you that you have discharged the duty properly, that is enough. Your conscience is the best judge. And here is something, he says, something that really helps me. He further goes, it is human to err, and there must be mistakes. You can only do your best. So I thought, you know, we always have this question, have I done my best? And, you know, and if we feel that we haven't done the best, then obviously that leads to worry and that kind of thing. So I hear Baba is just a bit more forgiving. He says, just rely on your conscience. And he further goes, it is human to err, and there must be mistakes, You can only do your best. Jai Baba. That's what I thought.
Beautiful quote, Prakash. Lovely. Perfect. Yeah.
I just wanted to say something that's been on my mind through this whole session, which was that when things do go wrong and you start to worry, you think things shouldn't be that way, and Baba, how could you have done this to me, and how could this? I just remember maybe Arnava's, one of the women Mandali saying to me, you know, in the next life or whatever, you might not be as, you're so close to Baba right now. So he is now here to comfort you and protect you. And he knows you and you know of him. You know his name and you know of him. So he may be giving you pain now because it's definitely the best time to have it because you have him.
Beautiful. Good. Wonderful.
A great obstacle. Baba says that worry is one of the greatest obstacles on the spiritual path. It connotes fear, anxiety, and lack of faith. It gnaws at the heart and interferes with our direct line to God. Worry is a form of fear. It creates turbulence in the consciousness that prevents tranquility and bliss. It is only when the lake of consciousness becomes calm that it reflects the glory of reality, of God. Meher Baba says, worry is the product of feverish imagination, working under the stimulus of desires. It is the living through of sufferings that are mostly of one's own creation. Worry has never done anyone any good, and it is very much worse than mere dissipation of energy, for it substantially curtails the joy and fullness of life. When Baba said, "Don't worry," he was indicating that it is possible not to worry. He says that through a Herculean effort, we can overcome worry and be free of it, that our hearts can become free, and we will become more courageous in our spiritual endeavors. It is a battle along the spiritual path. It is a major project and great accomplishment when we overcome worry.
Of course, there's Mark Twain where he said, "I've been through many trials and tribulations in this life, and most of them never happened."
Yeah. And Paula.
Yeah, something I'm working with is worry and guilt are connected. For me, like when I was little and I grew up Catholic, and I realized recently how mean that was for me. The way things were taught, it was just mean because I internalized that it's dangerous to do anything. And really dangerous because, what I internalized was, Oswald, be quiet, was he won't. He's like, feed me. It was, I'm really grappling with this because it's old patterns, and they, when you're little and somebody tells you that there's venial sins and mortal sins, and if you do this and you do that, you're going to die and go to hell forever. And then I knew I was going to be away from my Jesus forever. And so that's a big worry. From the time I was little. Okay, I'll pick him up. And so anyway, this is him. Joining in. So anyway, it's just something I'm grappling with, and I have panic attacks and things like that, that's like, wait a minute, where did this come from? So it's like trying to deal with it in the moment when it happens spontaneously, and there's not time to think. And I really irritate my family.
Yeah, no, it's a great subject. And there may be people that respond to that because I think, I myself had, some core emotional complex, and it takes decades and decades sometimes to work through some of that type of thing. That's not just shifting focus. That's a deep core thing. And a lot of people have real core emotional complexes that Darwin said, you just try to give a little at a time, but that could be a whole subject of a Effort and Grace session, but anyway, you brought that up, and maybe someone will respond to that.
What I was going to say is the reading that was done by Leica and also the one by Betty and Ken sounded very similar. I don't know if they're from the same book, but I wanted to mention that. And also in response to Paula, I think during this time of COVID, it's just bringing up tons of fear for, like, if anybody has any fear, it comes up. And I was just thinking today, kind of chastising myself. I'm just thinking too much about death. This is awful. Being afraid of every frigging little thing, going to the grocery store, running into something. Oh, I forgot my mask when I petted that dog, crazy little like that. No, I tell you, a good dog anytime will just, I can become careless because I love the animals so much. But I was just thinking, there's this little meditation that you can get on the app called Calm. And one I haven't listened to, but will, is about saying yes to life. And I think when you're not worrying and when you get out of fear, you're saying yes to life. And, but all I'm saying really is that in the past year, it has been so difficult because it has stripped us raw down to the most emotional, I mean, to our emotional bare bones. And we're having, I mean, everybody in the whole wide world is having to deal with whatever it is, you know, on multiple levels, you know, financial, emotional, spiritual, family, relationships, exercise, diet, I don't know, everything. And it's no wonder people have panic attacks. And I mean, I think it's even more important now than every other time to strengthen faith. I don't know really how you strengthen faith except staying focused on love and Baba and doing things that focus your attention in that way and keep the mosquitoes away, meaning the worrying thoughts.
Yeah, beautiful. Yep. So true, so true.
Yeah, Mahu?
Yes. You know, worry is something actually I also do see around me with the people who are not necessarily with Baba. Okay, it's a big, big deal. And I can see my sister-in-law, my mother, and they have heavy health issues. Really, I mean, at young age, my sister-in-law got MS. I never could find an answer for that. Why? Why at such a young age and so forth? Anyway, but with us who have been in contact with Baba, you know, there are some basic questions. I was just sitting here thinking that we need to have an answer for. And once in a while, go inwardly and have a self check-in. Okay. For very fundamental questions, who is Baba? Who is Meher Baba? Why we haven't chose him as a master. He chose us. Let's just make it clear. As I said, that's my belief. So why are we in contact with Meher Baba? I mean, due to his call, he made his call, Avatar's call, and he was in a body. And so why are we with Meher Baba? Who is Meher Baba? Why do we have master? What, when we read his discourses, God speaks, discourse, that what are their applications in our body, in our life? I'm sorry. How can we use that? You know, so if we really, really give at least half attention to our relationship with Meher Baba, then there is no place for worry, really. I mean, the simple question is, when we are worried, what is the worst possible case? Okay, what is the worst possible thing that anything can happen? COVID? I'm worried about COVID. Okay, what's the worst possible case that may happen with this COVID? I may die, right? Well, the question is, do I die because of COVID or do I die because of God's will? These are fundamental questions we need to answer. If we really answer these fundamental questions and strengthen our relationship with Meher Baba, who is avatar of the age, then COVID, non-COVID, 3/4 of the world destruction, which I think it's happening. My belief is COVID is part of it, is happening mildly now, and so forth. It's all due to the God's will, right? Do we believe that he loves us more than we ever love ourselves? Now, these are not just the words. When he says, if you ask me anything from the deepest part of your heart, I dare not to neglect you. I dare not to neglect you. So he's on my side. He's by my side. He's always with me, right? So what am I worried about? For example, my mother goes out and she may have an accident. Okay, that's called life. You know, there is something actually I posted on Instagram last night, and there's a question and answer with Meher Baba that Nashwan put together in a book called Silent Teachings of Meher Baba. It's most wonderful, very practical. And someone asked Baba, why life is difficult? Then Baba says, it's necessary. Because if we don't have difficulty, we don't necessarily appreciate the bliss that and grace that is given to us. If there is no darkness, we do not appreciate the light of God, right? And so forth. So these are necessary. That's how the life is designed. And then the next question, the questioner asks, why there is evil? Okay, ask Meher Baba. And Meher Baba says, there is really no evil. It's all however you take it to be. It's all bliss, good, grace, and good things. If you want to take it as evil, it will be evil. If you want to take it as a God's grace and blessing, that would be it. So it's all your choice how you want to live your life. So we take that to another level of being worried or not worried. It's our choice. It's a conscious choice and decision that we make. And one more thing that we may not realize, the damage of this worrying. You know how much psychic energy it really eats up? It eats up all our psychic and mental energy and causes our stamina to come down and energy level to go down, and on and on and on and on, unnecessarily. So, you know, I think that's just the whole, every time Darwin talks about, some say, he lay out the roadmap. So like he says again, effort and grace, effort and grace. I mean, it's no accident he has the title effort. We've got to make that effort. That's why Meher Baba says, sometimes we forget, say, Meher Baba said, don't worry, be happy. No, he said, do your best. Then don't worry about the result. Don't worry, be happy. Okay, so we've got to do our part, and he does 100 times his part, right? But in order for us to do, and he does that for our own sake, because one day we have to grow this consciousness and get onto our Godhood. If we don't tap into our infinitehood and potentials and discipline and all that, ain't not gonna happen. So here we go. We have Meher Baba, nothing to be worried about. Avatar Meher Baba.
Key. Excellent. That's plan A right there, folks.
Speaking of plan B, what Madhu said reminded me of a story that Bal Nathu related. Now, Bal Nathu was a very, very big worrier. He worried all the time. His health was not good and so on. So Baba knew this, of course, but he never really said anything directly to Bal Nathu. But one time in Guru Prasad, there was this person who came And he was worrying all the time too. So Baba asked him, why do you worry? Don't worry. But that person still kept on worrying. So one day Baba told him, because I have a solution for you on this worry. Every day you go sit in a corner for 5 minutes and just imagine the worst things that can happen. Whatever you're worrying about, just think about the very, very worst thing that can happen and go on imagining that for 5 minutes. And Balnathu is hearing all this. Then it'll go away. So Balnathu heard this, and he doesn't know what happened to that other person, but hearing Baba say that really helped him to kind of not really get over his worries, but he said that it helped him in his worries. The second thing I wanted to say was, Baba said that if at all you worry, let it be how to remember me constantly, because it'll bring about the end of all worries. And in my experience, I don't think he really meant it as like all his messages. He really was planting that seed in each of us so that we worry about remembering him. And over time, that'll basically lead us to not worry about anything else, but just to remember him. That's my take and my experience.
Beautiful. Mentioning Balnathu worried a lot, but it was on a superficial level. I wouldn't say he had the real, because you could say, well, this guy's kind of worrying about this and that when you were around him, but at a core level, I didn't feel he was worried about anything. He had that faith and conviction, and he was all right. But then, the mind is kind of yakking away, and but like I say, it wasn't heart deep. His worry, I didn't feel, was heart deep. Yeah. And that I found that's important to make that distinction in myself. Core worries and more superficial worries. We're bound to have superficial worries, and it's no big deal. Yeah.
This is kind of a funny story. I think it's a really funny story. So my first trip to India was, of course, with Martin and my daughter. And my mom did not know where we were going. Because if she had, she would have been holding on to the wings of the plane. You cannot take my daughter or my granddaughter way over there. So I lied to her. And that was something that was a no-no in my family. And Martin and I were campers. So I said we had gone out to BC and we were camping. We would be off the grid for approximately 3 weeks. So off we went, and it was the first trip, as most people know, your first trip is overwhelming, yada, yada, yada. So the last time at Marisette, I'm sitting on the porch and I'm in tears. Shocker on tears. But anyway, so I'm crying, and Katie comes over and she says, what's wrong, Wendy? And I said, oh, I lied to my mom where we were going, and I feel so bad. And this is awful. I've had such a beautiful trip and I lied to her, and I've never lied to her. Oh my gosh, what have I done? And she just put her hand on my shoulder and she said, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Baba will take care of it. And I'm thinking in my head, you don't know my mother. She will go up one side of me and down the other for lying to her. So we get home, it's late. I call her because I can't go to sleep. I have to tell her, Mom, I lied to you, yada, yada. This was her words. Did you have a good time? And I said, oh, Mom, it was the best. And she said, good, but don't ever lie to me again. So that it was like, yeah, that was a perfect example for me of worry. Baba's got it. Like, forget about it. It's good. Anyway, thanks for listening. Jay Bob.
I was thinking, if people want to what Paula brought up, is, growing up Catholic and having worry and guilt and everything at a very deep level. I mean, as I say, we have these deep complexes that are not, they're core. They're not just superficial things, and how to deal with that type of thing in us, because these are, with our best intentions and everything and our best dedication to Baba, those things still persist. Anybody can weigh in on plan B in dealing with that, because this is a kind of, first you have to kind of extricate yourself from these things, so that you can move over to plan A, so to speak, So anyone have something to say to that? Because I know a number of people have had to deal with real core emotional complexes early on with Baba, and then somehow able to, after a good length of time, move out of it.
Yeah, I was born Catholic, and my earliest memory is having gone. I don't know if anyone's not Catholic. Your first communion is when you're going to receive the body of Christ for the first time. So you have to go to the catechism, and so they told me that anybody that wasn't Catholic was going to go to burn in hell. Is what the nuns said. And I remember walking out of there. I'm only 70 years old. Are these people crazy? What's going on here? And my experience from there was like, mom and dad raises you to go to church. Well, dad didn't go to church. Mom says, "You're not going to go to church." And then my dad looks and says, "What do you think? God's going to send me to hell because I don't go to church?" So that was my dad. So I was raised sort of like that. But I remember coming out of there and saying, what? And from then on, I was, I guess, like a seeker, because they pulled the rug right out from underneath me. So my experience was that. Of course, 7 years before that, I was brought up with the guilt. I feel guilty all the time about everything. It's a constant thing. I got it now. When I do it, I say, "Baba, you love our garbage, right? Well, here it comes. Look at this. Look at this. That's for you. Yeah, it's my gift for like this hour." So that's what I do now, especially since Effort and Grace brought up the thing about giving God our garbage, because he likes that. Like you said, God, Baba said that he loves to figure out problems. So this is also the garbage part. So that's been my experience as a recovering Catholic. Thank you.
Yeah, and you got an early. You kind of saw through the deceit, so to speak, or the delusion early, but some people just took it right in and didn't. And you had your dad there who's kind of questioning the whole thing anyway. Is he in hell or heaven now? What do you think?
He's ready for his next, probably already back for another ride.
I think all of us grew up with some kind of layers of deep untruth, I would say. And yeah, I remember my father was in the Russian army in World War II. So it's a long story. But anyway, he was an atheist, and my mother was spiritual, and I craved, God, and kept it quiet. I got into gospel music, which saved my my life. But anyway, he sent us, look how Baba works. And there were younger pictures later on, I noticed, of my father on the beach. And he sort of looked like Alan looks. And then I saw pictures of Baba later, and I said, oh my God, they look alike. And I realized that I probably wanted to land with Baba and I didn't pay attention. I said, oh, there's Baba right there. Oops, made a mistake, landed in the wrong family. But that family wound up creatively bringing me to Baba, because through my father's atheism, he sent us to a socialist Yiddish school on Sundays. And because Yiddish was my first language, not English, I said, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to pass out of this. So the other kids didn't know the language. So I tested out of it. And right before I did, there was a teacher in the school who felt sorry for our family, and she gave us an application for a summer camp supported by the United Way. That was my ticket to Baba. Because years later, I knew there was a counselor there who knew Baba, and I got a junior counselor job there to find out about Baba. So he plans our way to him for a long time, and it's beautiful. So that being said, whatever we have to do, guilt or not, to get and stay with Baba has to be done. And thanks for sharing that story, Wendy. But I've come to realize that, it's okay to find creative ways to stand in your truth at whatever point you are in your life. And if that means there's a semblance of some kind of a lie that you feel guilty about with the parent, it'll rectify itself if you stand in your truth. Anyway, it's not really that, Baba, as you know, Baba just kind of irons it out, because the important thing is to stand in your truth and who you are with Baba, because a lot of folks, whether it's your family or it's friends or it's your job or whatever, they really try to keep you in an identity that works for them. And they're masterful at it. So you kind of have to play this creative game of check in with Baba all the time and just stand in what Baba wants you to be this lifetime and who he wants you to be, and just keep evolving in it. And it's not easy, but I don't look at it like I'm fibbing to anybody anymore. I just look at it like I'm standing in my own truth, and whatever I have to do to make that happen, Baba will take care of it, and it works itself out. I don't feel like I directly do anything wrong, but stand in my truth or don't answer. So I thought I'd share that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Lovely, Heidi.
And Stuart?
Yeah, I'll just share something from a friend, longtime Bible lover, who told me some months ago, she was very excited. She had this revelation that the biggest, worst things that we struggle with, they're really Baba's. And we tend to struggle and beat our head against the wall. And she got this great sense of relief of just kind of, all right, simply trying to turn it over and stop struggling. All this effort. And I thought it was a pretty interesting comment. I'm still contemplating that, but I think in some ways she's got something there.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, we're coming down. I can tell you about, with Paula there, in a deep complex I have had that went on for decades. But maybe I'll, maybe I will do that after we have a silence, if you're interested.
I really appreciate what Mahu had to say, and I'm kind of envious of that level of conviction. I don't think everybody can be that convicted. I think we're all on a path, and I'm looking back at the previous couple lines on under the value of knowledge. Perhaps the greatest value of knowing all this is a revelation of how unerringly we can depend on God, Baba, the universal mind. Our faith can be transformed into conviction. And I think some people have it, and that's a great gift. And some people have it at times and not at other times, and some people don't have it. But somehow all of us are on this path. And I personally don't want to feel guilty if I'm not totally convicted all the time. I don't think that would help. I guess I'm speaking because there might be other people who feel similarly, and I don't want people to be discouraged, nor do I want to be discouraged.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to know Plan B, because most everybody you're going to meet is going to be dealing with Plan B and all the nuances. It's good to be familiar with it. I mean, that's what Darwin was coasting along in Plan A. I'm just saying this, but I mean, he knew Plan B very well. How to get freed up, how to get more space within you, how to turn to Baba and turn away from the darkness and the hang-ups in yourself. And if he hadn't known that so intimately, he wouldn't have been able to write this book. So I think that all our struggles and everything are helpful, just like in the AA programs. Those who have struggled and everything have great authority to convince other people you can do it, and they know from experience, so yeah.
Paula?
I have, well, Bob has given me, so much to go on, namely him. And I know for a fact that he said guilt doesn't serve anybody or anything. It's just when you have instantaneous visceral responses to things, that's what I'm working with. Is like, what do I do with that? And I give it to Baba. It's like the plates that Jeff talks about, you take one off and then, oh God, there it is again. And just kind of keep plowing through it. I know I trust Baba. I know with all my heart, I trust him. So it's like when you were talking about Bound That Too, that's kind of the way I feel. It's like, well, there's just this stuff and I don't even know where all of it comes from. I know where some of it comes from, but not all of it. And what I do know to do is to give it to Baba and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And something he did for me too, when I was in India in 1986, I was really, I thought with all this stuff, my thought patterns were really negative. And I asked Baba to change my mind. Literally, I said, Baba, please change my mind, the way I think. And he did. I want him to do it more, but he did. He really changed me. So the journey continues. He steps in and he lets us, he's got us on the hook and he lets us squirm sometimes.
No, beautiful. No, that's the attitude. I mean, great. Ask Baba to change your thinking. That's what a great thing to put there before him. And just the very thing he'd like to do.
Yeah, when we're talking about sort of where our families come from, it's like, for example, my grandmother was Orthodox Christian, and growing up all those years with her, she would often say, don't worry, Hokies, just trust God, and we're only visitors here. And I would hear that growing up, and I would be like, Grandma, you don't understand. That's not how life is. And I would say that to her, and she just had this look on her face, and there was this, she was going through so much suffering physically, mentally. And she was seeing all her family members, and she kept talking about how she was going to go, and she would see them. And she's like, my time is coming. I'm like, aren't you worried, Grandma? And she said, why would I worry? You know, it's all in his hands. Don't you see? And I said, it's not that simple. You can't say that. You have to be worried. And I spent all these years worrying, and it ended up, you know, I was atheist at the time, and it took me till after she passed, until after all these years and all the places I went to try to find God, and all the things I did to my own body and mind and people I came across and suffering, to come to this place now where, you know, I see her sitting with him, uh, and she was right. But I just appreciate that I grew up with that all those years, but I never really understood what the depth of what she was sort of living in all the time. She's constantly saying God's name over and over again, you know, all the time, always saying God, 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 God. And I'm like, what are you doing? You don't get it. It's just, you know. So then you look back, and yeah, it's just so. I guess that's a blessing from, you know, even though she was Orthodox Christian, she just really had this really strong focus on Christ in particular, and relying on him for everything. And I just didn't get it. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jay.
Yeah. What a great beacon, a great help. And way ahead of her time, way ahead of your time. Well, let's have a few moments of silence. Jay Baba. So, Bill, you.
Yeah, Jeff, I'd like to do another song, poem song from Jeannie Foster's book of poetry, Awakening Grace. If you haven't seen it before, this is the book that Darwin and Jean published. Jean sent all these poems to her, a great poet in her own right, and I don't even know if she even thought these would even be published. So it's long out of print, and if anybody ever wants to do a GoFundMe to republish it, count me in for a contribution. So anyway, this is one called I Walk in His Shadow, and just a one-sentence quote from Baba that I like very much. Your job is to remember me. Everything else is my job. I walk in his shadow. I walk in his shadow, and I hold to his garment. Upon me, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. I walk in his shadow. Touch the hem of his garment. Night and day, night and day, night and day, night and day.
and touch his holy garland. Night and day, night and day, night and day, night and day, nor life nor death can fright me. I've strength with him beside me. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. Night and day, night and day, night and day, night and day. Jai Baba.
Ooh, thank you, Bill. Yeah, beautiful. So Stu is anybody that wants to stay around for heart meditation, heart-centered meditation with Baba. It's fantastic. Do you think I should share this? Is Paula there? I'll try to.
Share it.
Okay, so I'll make this fast, but I had a pathological fear of speaking publicly. And like when I was in junior high, I noticed it most when I had to give a book report, and I would find myself in an altered state, not very unpleasant. And I could see my mouth giving the report down there, and I was way off somewhere else. It was like horrifying. And it wasn't like I was stupid or anything, but I just, and I had that, and all the way through, I mean, even though I had to give public talks and things like that along the way, it was, I mean, at the moment, well, normally later on at the moment, it would be fine, but the lead up to it was horrible. And so when I started working at the center, and then I would get called to give talks in different places, and they would tell me, a couple months in advance. And I mean, I would wake up every morning for like a month or 2 or 3 months. Oh my God, what am I going to say? Am I going to be able to remember my train of thought? I mean, I had no conviction. It was like horrible. And I mean, I would go to the gathering, and I'd go to the bathroom, and I just locked the door and just put my head on the floor. Bob, you got to help me. You got to help me. You cannot imagine what I went through. But the only reason I would say yes is because I just felt it's just cowardice if I just say no. I mean, that was not acceptable to me. So I went through years and years of torture. But even though at the moment when I began, everything was fine, Baba would come through, but I had no conviction that Baba would show up at the moment when I had to begin speaking. I mean, I just didn't have it. But Baba would always come through. And every time he would come through, but I still, in my mind, what if I just go blank? What if I stammer through it? I can't, keep a thread of thought or whatever. So, and I was in the months leading up to a talk, I would be giving this anxiety. I mean, I'm talking to Paula here. I would give this anxiety to Baba. I mean, I would do my best to give it to him, and it was still there. It was still there. I would go to a gathering, and they give me a nap time or something, and it would be like concentric circles of anxiety. And I'd give one concentric circle to Baba, and then there would be the next concentric circle of anxiety, and it was it was not a great place to be. And, you know, like, where's the faith in Baba, you know? So anyway, but here's how it ended. But this is not necessarily, what can I say? This is, it wasn't, I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, I went to Atlanta, and I after all the torture, and we had a great weekend, and we, you know, a whole lot of us, and we talked like we're doing here on Effort and Grace. Beautiful. And then on the way, this guy was driving me to the airport, and a guy named Rick Berman. Now he was involved with some kind of Holocaust organization, and we were talking about that on the car over. And then we came to the airport, and we continued talking. And back then, you could go right up to the desk before someone left. You know, they didn't keep you outside. But at one point, we were talking. At one point, I saw a flash of myself from another lifetime, where I was being interrogated by two menacing interrogators. And I mean, I was kind of dimly lit, and I was about 14. And I had to I was involved in some kind of, like, say, underground network, or, you know, what do you call it? During World War II, the
resistance.
The resistance, you know, I don't know if it was that, but it was like that. And I had to deliver what I said to these two guys, these menacing men. I had to deliver what I said, letter perfect. If I screwed up, I would lose my life, but everybody connected to me would lose their lives. And the pressure was so great. I was just, you know, like 13 or 14, and I failed. I blew it, and so there, and so everybody, I'm sure, I mean, I knew that that was going to be into my life, and everybody connected with me. So I saw the source of why I was so panic-stricken, way beyond the situation. You know, I mean, all I have to do is just give a talk. What's the big deal? But it was way out of proportion. It all came from there. And once I saw that, and I just saw it in a millisecond, Baba gave it to me, and then that eased everything. And so I just have now just normal anxiety that anyone else would have who has to give a talk, you know. But I spent years and years giving that to Baba. I mean, as best as I could. I mean, on my knees, on the floor, in the lagoon cabin, in the tomb. I could not make a solid dent in that. You know, it was just, it would come back as if I hadn't done any work at all, until that one flash. So anyway, that's, I don't know where Paula is, but some of these things are very persistent. They can be, they were for me.
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, I heard every word, Jeff, and I can relate to every word. Yeah. And I have those suspicions too. I just don't know it, but I think we've all been through a lot of that. And because I was the same way. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk in front of people. I didn't talk for years to anybody, you know? So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should, maybe we should open a public speaking academy, you and I. No, anyway.
when Zoom first started, I couldn't talk on these. I couldn't breathe. So
Yeah,
it's getting better.
Yeah, we didn't see you. All we saw was your name for a long time.
Yeah. It was very scary.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Anyway,
you so much.
like Monty said, Monty used to say, don't forget, it all has a happy ending.
Right.
Okay. So, Sally, yeah. Yeah.
Relating to that, what you just said about public speaking, I went to Montclair State University here, and I took a course in public speaking, and we had to do 4 presentations, and one of them was an informative speech. The other was a persuasive speech and stuff like that. So for the informative speech, I chose to speak about Meher Baba. So I talked about who Meher Baba was and what his philosophy was and all that stuff. And I told everyone that Baba kept silence for all these years. And my professor, he had a good sense of humor. He goes, "Oh, that guy would have gotten a big F in my class for Baba."
Yeah.
Just remember that one
Yeah.
to share it. But
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, like when Robert Dreyfus told his folks about Baba, his dad said, well, what does he do for a living? Try answering that. Okay. Stu.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what I said about my friend's revelation about the biggest, most persistent things we struggle with and how she saw it. It's really Baba's business. I think the other side of that, going along with it, is it's not saying don't necessarily make effort, but if we can let the effort go and knowing that we're not to be guilty if our efforts haven't seemed to take us very far. You know, it is to be left in Baba's lap.
Yeah, beautiful. I was not real good at that. So we'll turn it over to you, Stu.
Okay. Lower hand. Okay, well, if we could all mute, please. Those of you staying on. And Jay Baba. Oh, just close your eyes and start breathing fully and calmly into your belly. And see if you can take this breath right into your heart. And just bring your attention to your heart. And your heart center. And this is the wonderful, endless place that we all have. That's the home of Meher Baba's love, infinite love in us, and that love is in us and around us, beyond us. But we all have a 24-hour-a-day connection to that love. So keep breathing in and take note of whatever you might see and feel as you breathe into your heart and you pay attention there. And as you keep breathing into your belly and you follow that breath into your heart, let your heart guide you on this and choose someone who you would like to focus sharing Mayor Baba's infinite love with. And just see who appears for you. It could be a person or a group. Most of you have heard me say that this practice can bring about miraculous occurrences in the case of conflict with somebody. But it can just be a wonderful thing to share, maybe simply because you already love somebody or feel very connected, but you would like to spend some time sharing even more of a focus of Baba's infinite love. Maybe you know somebody who's been going through a lot of struggle and hardship. And just see who comes up. You know, over the months of doing this, people have shared just a wide variety of people who have appeared for them. So get a good image of whoever it is. And keep breathing in deeply and see and feel the person or persons before you in your mind and your heart. And see their heart centers and just take note of whatever you might see and feel. As you focus awareness on them through your heart. And know that you're not trying to bring about any particular change, and anything that might happen along with this practice is, you know, what I'd call divine magic. It's coming from focusing Baba's love. So now start to see and feel Baba's infinite love flowing warmly and generously into their heart and their heart center completely, just filling every little bit. And I see this delicious, warm, liquid, golden light of love. It's endlessly flowing and filling and giving. It's healing, soothing, uplifting, inspiring, forgiving, enlightening. And it just keeps flowing generously from Baba, and it's all for the good of whoever you're seeing. And now see this endless, infinite, golden, healing love overflowing from their heart and gently flowing right through their heart. And just continuing to fill every bit of their heart center, but now just spilling out and through and filling their entire being. So see and feel Baba's infinite love filling every little corner of them. And bringing all the healing qualities that it has. And let's stay here another moment. And now let's give thanks for being able to share focusing Baba's infinite love for whoever you've chosen. Know that you can return here again and again. And let's just say farewell for now, for the moment. And now gently breathe in and bring your awareness back to your own heart and heart center. And follow your breath right into your heart. And take note of whatever you might see and feel as you focus there. And now start to see Meher Baba's endless, infinite love flowing into your heart and heart center and filling them completely, every little bit. Just gently and warmly, this love is healing, soothing, uplifting, cleansing, forgiving, enlightening. And inspiring. And it comes as an endless gift. And the wine shop of this love is open 24 hours a day. And now see this infinite love overflowing, continuing to flow and overflow from your heart and flowing through your heart and your heart center, and now soothingly filling every bit of your being. And this love just keeps flowing and giving without question, without judgment. And drink this love in for another moment. So now let's give thanks for being able to focus on Baba's infinite love flowing into our own hearts and heart centers. And we never know what magic this love might bring. And know that we can keep returning to focusing on the infinite love flowing into and through our own hearts. And breathing in still, start to gently bring awareness back to your surroundings and wherever you're sitting or laying. And take a few moments to adjust back, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And as we gently come back, if anybody would like to share anything, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, it's Cindy from Mayor Baba's tomb. I have received this Effort and Grace in reclining darshan after having spent the better part of the last few days helping my best friend get ready for her husband's memorial service, which was today. And I got back around 5 and laid down, passed out, woke up, put on Effort and Grace, and have been just receiving the profound love and earnest sharings. It's funny, I just said the word Ernest. He was called Gary, but his legal name was Ernest. And what I experienced in the meditation tonight was no difficulty at all being in the space of sharing and receiving Baba's love. And I felt that even at the service today with like 500 people, just to be that Baba Center personified, to take Baba's name, to radiate it, and then to receive it. I felt it so strongly coming to me as well tonight. And I'm grateful to be I'm grateful that I'm aware that I am part of Baba's awakening and to get to share space with you all in that energy. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful, Cindy, and much Baba love to your friend's husband.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cindy gets right in the spirit of all of this beautifully.
Yeah, good.
Yay, Baba.
Perfect.
How was it for you, Stu?
It was good. I kept turning toward Baba inwardly, and I snuck one peek at this favorite picture I have of him, and I typically perceive something a little different coming from Baba about the love that he's sharing. And sometimes I see him being reverent about his own love, which is rather amazing. And I had some of that tonight. And it's a sense of bounty, just
yeah,
the love being shared all the time without limit. And that's a matter of how much we can drink.
Yeah. Like Mani said, it's there for the looting. You know, it's hanging from the branches of the trees. You know, just gather them. Don't say that you're not entitled to it. Take away as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's on the ground, the fruit. You don't even have to go up into the tree.
Yeah, great expressions.
Yeah. Ken, that was a beautiful song. You got to listen to it. Play it back. It was very touching. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was even
Yeah.
better in person.
Yeah.
Even better in person, yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, wow. Oh, just to remind you too that I'm going to interview Nashwana Lavala tonight at 10. Same station.
That furthering the interview with him?
Yeah, this will be his teenage years and his early adulthood,
Ah,
and how Baba related to him. You know, because he got some kind of far out ideas, and Baba responded to. You'll hear it. Wow.
Do you think Bill Cliff will be there tonight?
That I don't know. I hope so. That'd be good.
It would be great if he could sing that song that was sung today, earlier. It's in his songbook on page 119. Waiting till the night has gone, and waiting all night until the dawn. You know, that one.
That's
Guzzle
yeah.
one. Guzzle one.
That's Hafiz.
Right.
Well, the because it's so late, you know, I'm inclined to get going with Nashawin right off.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yes.
I'll see
Yeah.
how the time unfolds.
Maybe at the end, if people aren't exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. And Alan, it's up to you guys on Tuesday night. I'm going to just sit back, take a holiday.
Yeah, we'll see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
Topics of conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you again. It was lovely. It was just
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, I've got to go. I got to go down to work. I got somebody filling in for me. But he's happy to make this possible.
It amazes me each week how it builds on the last one.
yeah.
That it for me, I shouldn't speak for other people, but it feels more palpable. You know, you can feel the energy, even though you're miles apart, you know, that energy that we're all focused. It's lovely. It's really lovely.
And I'm so touched and impressed by how strongly and how kind of well, with love and everything, approaching Baba and keeping Baba in our lives. I mean, it's the dedication is just inspiring. You know, I mean, how people are keeping Baba right there in so many ways through so many experiences.
Yeah,
Looks like Alan's got something to say up there, though.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Jeff. What was that quote that you mentioned before about Baba? No, I don't know who said it. Something about like, how can you expect to smell the stench without the?
Oh, you mean
something?
This is Rumi.
Yeah.
Until perfume and stench are the same to you, how will you catch the scent of oneness?
Oh, wow.
Until perfume and stench are the same to you, how will you be able to catch the scent of oneness? I mean, basically, we have to expand our definition of what love is so that it includes everything. And that is, you know, that is really a challenge. You know, we've got these things over here are love, but those things aren't love. It really is stretching.
I was planting in the garden yesterday, and I was planting onions, and I start from seeds, so they're very, very tiny. when you put them in, they're not like the little bulbs.
Yeah.
And I had this moment when I was planting, because it's a tedious job. And I was taking Baba's name and I went, oh, this is like us. You know, we're just so fragile. And yet, you know, if you're handled with care and you stay focused, you can do this. And I thought, oh, maybe this onion will be a person someday. So I need to be kind to this little seed, you know, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, whoa, Wendy, pull it back, pull it back. This is, you know, getting too far out there. But it was really, you know, I get that. Does anybody else ever get those moments where all of a sudden things get out of control and you gotta reel her back in because you go, whoa. Come on back.
Beautiful. Yeah. No, it's one day we're going to see that and be so touched by any little thing.
Yeah.
I get like that, Wendy, but I don't reel myself back in.
Yeah.
I think I love that thought, and I can't wait to play with that. I think our imagination running wild is the same energy that made the universe, which is God, which is Baba, which is what will bring what we need, you know, what we long for, what Baba's manifesting. So that is just fabulous. I love it.
Thank you, Cindy.
Jeff, I wonder if I can just ask you to repeat something.
Yeah.
I've been trying to quote it in my head and it won't come back. So it was, do you want to live a good life or what?
Oh, good. You remember that. This is back in the 70s. I used to sleep at the back of the gateway, the old gateway, on a cot. And Fred and Ella were across the way, and then Fred eventually passed on. But Elizabeth and Kitty wanted me up in that end of the center, up by at the gateway. But anyway, one day, this is back in the 70s. One day I woke up, and Baba flashed this to me, just as I was waking up. You can live a good life, he's saying to me. But does the world need another good life? Let me live your life. And I thought that was kind of understood, but I realized that I have to invite him. He has to get my permission. Love requires him to get my permission for him to come in and live my life. So every morning I say, Baba, you live this day. You know, you go into work, you greet these people, you speak, you clean cabins. For a long time, for a couple of years, I said, you do this for me. Then after a couple of years, I said, why me? You live this life, not for me. You know, why bring me into the picture? So you live this day. And I do feel that he takes me up on it. I mean, I see in the course of the day, moments that are larger than they should be, exchanges that were richer than they would have been in the past. You know, a little more, there's, you know, a little more spaciousness, a little more timeless. So.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Was that it?
No.
Oh, that wasn't the quote. Okay.
It's close. I mean, because I think you were saying you could live a good life or you could live a life devoted to Baba, which maybe it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he said you could live a good life, but does the world need another good life? Let me live your life.
Okay. All right. So no wonder I couldn't get that. All right.
And like I say, he's ready to live our life. I wouldn't say for us. He's ready to live our life but he does, love requires him, even though he's got infinite knowledge, power, and bliss and everything, love is such that he has to ask our permission to live, to come in and live our life. I mean, it seems absurd, but that's how great love is. I mean, that's how love is honored. He can't barge in and take over Wendy, Cura, and have her, doing a whole lot of stuff for him. You say, hey, come on. I mean, I didn't agree to this.
Okay.
I mean,
well, I know that I've done that sometimes, but only out of desperation or exasperation.
Yeah.
Will I say, okay, Baba, I can't do this today. But you're saying he would like to do it all the time.
Yeah. Even do it at neutral times. I mean, in the sense of, doesn't have to be a crisis. Just do it as a matter of fact. Baba, you wash the dishes. I mean, it seems simplistic, but it really is that simple at the heart level. The mind might, make it complicated, but he's happy. He would like to live our life, and we are actually keeping him out somehow.
Well, we're doing that not just subconsciously.
Yeah,
or egoistically.
Yeah, we have a lot of resistance to that. There's somehow a resistance to it because, hey, we've been living our life. Yeah.
Right.
We've been living our life all this time, and this other guy is coming to the neighborhood and he's wanting to live our life for us. There is something resistant. Even if on a conscious level you agree with that, at the subconscious level, there's probably some resistance.
Okay.
But
all right, I don't know of any resistance because I'm not sure my faith is great enough to know he's going to come in and live my life. So if there's not a possibility, I'm not threatened for sure.
Yeah.
But,
well,
yeah.
Just keep trying it and just see if it works for you.
I will. Yeah. I mean, that's been repeating in my head for some reason. So I'll go ahead and follow it to see where it goes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Always great to hear your voice. I think of you and your parents every Saturday night in the lagoon cabin.
I really appreciate that.
I do.
We're doing some pretty, deep work with each other. So it's all heart. It's all heart is what it is.
Yeah. No, I feel Baba just puts his arms around the three of you.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
No.
My mom still says, Baba brings us many minor miracles, although I don't think you can call them minor, but just in a way that we can perceive them. That small thing, Baba must have done that to make the day go well. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Hey, well, unfortunately,
yeah, you have to go.
I got to go to work. I got somebody waiting. But Stu, always thank you, and wonderful to see you. Wonderful to see Meph and Rosalie. Well, she disappeared. Peter, Solamasi. It looks like you've got a sitar or something behind you there, but clobbering you on the head.
That is an inversion table. Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, that is my inversion table in back of me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a very cool piece of equipment.
Yeah. It looks like it's hitting you on the head. Okay, well, I am going to
Hey,
I'll
Jeff,
see you. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, my brain is just kind of off right now. But could you just repeat that thing again about the stench and the scent of oneness
Okay.
again? So I really
Okay.
trying to remember it.
Until perfume and stench are the same to you, comma, how will you be able to catch the scent of oneness?
Catch the scent. Thank you. I got it.
I mean, that lays it out. I mean, graphically or what olfactorily, what we're up against. And Baba gave that example of a sweeper a veteran sweeper who is so used to the horrible smell that it doesn't affect him anymore, and someone who's not hasn't been doing it for years.
Jay Baba, thank you.
Okay, yeah. See you guys.
See you later.
Okay, thanks,
From
Jeff.
Canada, Jay Baba, thank you as always.
Hey, Baba,
So
beautiful.
grateful. Always grateful.
Thank you. Thank you.